Hey guys, what's up? This is Jordan Crook with TechCrunch, and we're here with the CEO and co-founder of Aereo, Chet Kanojia. So hey.
Hey Jordan, how are you?
I'm good, how are you?
I'm well, thanks.
All right, so let's just tell our readers first what Aereo is all about, just in case they're not in the loop.
Yeah. So Aereo is the simplest way to get television without a cable subscription. What Aereo has done is created a technology that allows people to get over-the-air broadcast TV for as low as $1 a day or $8 a month, and basically just go sign up online and get it on your computer, laptop, tablet. If you have a Roku, you can put it on your TV. Lots of devices.
So you're really competing with like everyone, because you've got the on-demand content from Hulu and Netflix and all of those kind of streaming players, and then you've got the big cable companies. They don't often bring all of your channels straight to your connected devices, and no one really brings live over-the-air TV straight through to the connected device.
Right. So if you think about the ecosystem, you've got the library products, which have great on-demand, but they don't have anything live or what's happening now, right? And in a lot of cases, news and sports, a friend of mine used to say news on demand is history on demand, right? So online lacks that. The cable guys certainly can get all that stuff, but you're tied to the subscription, and it tends to be very expensive.
Absolutely.
So as we looked at the market, we said there's a gap in people's online experience from a video perspective, and that's that live pulse that you sort of, whether it's breaking news or it's weather or it's sports or that aspect. But tied to that is also this expectation that people have that they can time shift it, place shift it, they can pause it, they can go to the bathroom. So everything was built with that sort of modern consumer in mind that has that expectation.
Right, and as opposed to paying whatever $80, $100 for cable, you can pay $1 or $8 or 15, $12 to get
for the year.
Exactly, to get Aereo. So the cost to the user is actually way lower for much of the same content, but you bring only free over-the-air signals straight into Aereo, right?
Until now, actually, there's a new cable programming that just started off on Aereo as well. In fact, if you go, I don't know if you're an Aereo subscriber or not.
Bloomberg TV.
Bloomberg TV on Aereo, and we expect that to sort of continue.
So this is your first licensing deal with them?
Yes, it's a product that I love. I watch, from a business news perspective.
Yeah.
It's really good reporting, and during the day, it's helpful. So.
Absolutely, and so you're working, I assume, to build out the library as much as possible in terms of channels and stuff like that.
Yeah, so more of a television-centric approach as opposed to sort of on-demand. There's a lot of, good products out there, whether it's Netflix or iTunes or Amazon Prime for traditional, what I'll call library experiences. And that's also a very balance sheet-centric equation, right? Just because you spend a lot of money, and I'm not necessarily sure how much money you'll end up making. But it makes sense for a lot of other people. Apple certainly sells devices that it makes a lot of sense for. Amazon has Prime, and Netflix is creating new proprietary content.
So let's talk about how it works on the technological side,
Sure,
right? So the way that I understand it is it's like you've shrunken down the rabbit ears to be tiny and remote, right? Is that the general idea?
That's the general idea. So the basic idea was a consumer can go and put an antenna up themselves. But if we can make it a sophisticated antenna and make it remotely located, and they can get crystal clear, high definition picture, people are likely to do that because it's simple, right? I mean, nobody wants to go and climb on their roof and put an antenna. That's why people sign up for cable. And so that's what Aereo did, was we miniaturized, and they're like really small, and people, there was a lot of disbelief in people. I still get it, there's no way that works. And it does.
So there's a lawsuit going on right now. The live broadcast networks like NBC, ABC, Fox. They're upset because they feel like their signals are being taken without their permission, when really you're pulling them through the same technology that a user would pull.
Right. And in fact, it's a technology that's really built to honor that commitment, so that actually nothing exists in the Aereo system until the consumer says, I want to tune to ABC, and then a signal goes from their device to the antenna, which turns on, puts the video into the system, goes through a DVR or time shifting function, and a few seconds later the picture appears. Yeah,
there was a ruling in Cablevision that kind of changed the way that broadcasters operate, or I guess the way that the rules are in terms of this kind of technology. And I know that everything's very complicated, but you guys actually built Aereo to be within the law, correct?
Yeah, so we looked at, in fact, when the company was started, we put together a team of lawyers and experts and communications experts, and with an explicit mandate, let's build something that is going to be well within and on all fours with what is established as legal technology. And so that's kind of what we did.
So you feel very confident going into this,
for sure.
this case?
Yeah. I mean, we always understood that it won't be a silky smooth road, but we have things that we firmly believe are technologically, we built it to be legal. There's a public policy component, which is basically these airwaves belong to people. The spectrum was granted by Congress to broadcasters with a very specific intent that they would program in the public interest.
Right.
So it is required that the consumer has the ability to do that. Right? I mean, you think about the implications that if you said to consumers, we took your spectrum, but now you can only watch this or anything that's on the airwaves unless you pay. You can't watch it till you pay a cable company. Now, what are the implications of that, right? So there's a very profound rationale. And on top of that, which was reaffirmed when the transition happened to digital broadcasting, the government gave out hundreds of millions of dollars in coupons to people that whoever wanted to plug a little digital to analog converter in and get digital signal and put it on their old TV.
Right.
To protect that mandate. So in comes Aereo, and people are surprised, some happily and some not so happily. But all we've really done is miniaturization.
Right. So there's kind of like two factors going into this case that I kind of want to talk about. And there's one side that says, it's almost like a loophole company. Like you know the law, you know exactly what is within and without the law, and you've built something that's within the law, but some people frown upon that kind of thing, I think. And then there's the other side where the FCC is actually making a huge push to make things, go in the same direction you guys are going in. It's a digital world. We're a Wi-Fi world. We're connected, and things, the traditional kind of needs to get thrown out and replaced with the new. Right. Where do you see yourself kind of falling in on that, and how do you think that'll play into the end of the case?
So, just speaking on the latter point you made, broadband's important. There is no question about that. The more broadband is utilized and in particular, IP or internet-based distribution is just fundamentally important to our modern systems, I think. They have implications that are very, very wide-ranging, and that means, as it's happened in every industry, consumers have benefited. Right. Whether it was now you can buy a song as opposed to buying an album just to get a song, or you can get a magazine on your iPad and it's beautiful and it's simple and it's easy, and you're not killing trees as part of the process. Right. Better for the consumer, better for the environment. So all of those things will happen in video. So I sort of approach it very simply as saying this is sort of the next step because now there is sufficient bandwidth. Right. The loophole argument just doesn't make any sense. It doesn't resonate with me, because to say to somebody, we set up a law and you followed it, and now we're going to accuse you of, following the law somehow. Yeah. I think it's talking from both sides of their mouth. Not of course.
Thank you. Okay, so I guess my final question is, what's the end goal for you guys? Because I know you got a lot of funding, like plus 20 million at least, right? And I know that your overhead can't be that much, because other than developing the technology and deploying it, you're essentially paying for servers. So what's the plan in the end game? I know that you're definitely going to rake up some profit, but are you looking to sell? I mean, this would be perfect for Apple TV. That's what I keep thinking. I want Apple to buy, and then I want to get all my library content and my live streaming.
In one integrated experience. So this is a long road, and this is sort of one of those once-in-a-lifetime opportunities. So my goal, and I think my investors share this objective as well, is to build a really meaningful enterprise. You go back 30 years, 40 years ago, and the entire cable industry was started with the idea of, hey, if I can provide you a clean picture, it's the start of something very, very meaningful and big, which led to CNN, which led to HBO, which led to all of these things, right? And so now the definition of a clean picture is the idea of mobility, the idea of simplicity, the idea of rational pricing. So if we can now recreate that clean picture in the digital world, what else can happen with that, right? New and interesting content. I mean, I know there's lots of new channels emerging that are, cost of video production's gone down, quality has gone up. There's a ton of talent in the marketplace. that doesn't need $10 million to appear in every movie. They're creative people who are looking for outlets. So I think this is just the beginning. So the first focus from our side is expansion. So expand to as many markets as we can. I mean, it's not trivial. It takes a lot of fair bit of money and execution, and so that's in process. And we've said that we'll hit about 15 markets. We haven't announced which ones yet, but in the first half of next year. So that's a big project. Putting the Aereo app, as you said, on as many devices as we possibly can. So that's the second sort of parallel objective. And once we think we get to a certain amount of penetration with that, then comes new and interesting content. So, you know, I've been very fortunate that I've had the luxury of kind of doing my own thing for the last 15 or so years. And I'm again even more fortunate that I have investors along with me that sort of share that belief that, you know, build something meaningful. So the goal is build something meaningful. Now, you know, who knows what the future holds. We also think, you know, partnering with companies that can augment the content experience in front of the consumer and make it better from a distribution perspective, better broadband, et cetera, makes a lot of sense. So you'll see us do those kinds of things as well.
Awesome. All right, well, thanks, Chet.
Great.
Appreciate your time.
Thanks.
That's it for Chet Kanojia and Aereo.